Settle in, grab a seat. Today, we are stepping into a world that exists right beneath the surface of our everyday interactions. We're cracking open a hidden playbook. We're looking at the silent, honestly kind of invisible psychological tools used by master influencers to shape behavior. Now, we aren't here to judge, we are just here to observe, deconstruct, and understand exactly how these hidden mechanisms work. Imagine having a secret power to read minds and actually control decisions. If I said that to you, you'd probably think we were talking about some sci-fi movie, right? But I assure you, this isn't magic. It is pure, unfiltered psychology. The source material we're exploring in today's explainer breaks down how these exact techniques are used to silently steer absolutely everyone, from the toughest bosses at work to that crush you've been texting. Section 1. The secret of mind control. Now, to be incredibly clear right out of the gate, this is pure psychology, not magic. The source actually issues a very specific, almost chilling warning from the start. They say that once you learn how these tools actually function, you will literally never see the world the same way again. Every conversation, every advertisement, every argument, it's all going to start looking like a giant chessboard. We are taking an impartial, purely analytical look at the exact dark tools that highly manipulative leaders, marketers, and everyday influencers use to control situations. And the wildest part? Often, the person being influenced doesn't even realize a technique has been applied. They walk away thinking they made a completely independent choice. We're going to shine a light on exactly how that illusion is created. Section 2. Reverse trap and choice. Okay, let's dive right into this. We're starting with conversational traps. These are the incredibly subtle ways language can be structured to basically corner someone's psychology. Trick number 5 from our source is called the reverse trap. And it relies on a very simple, undeniable truth of human nature. Tell someone not to do something, and their brain instantly fixates on doing it, right? If I tell you right now, whatever you do not look behind you. Your brain instantly feels the impulse to turn around. It's this automatic psychological response to restricted freedom. When you forbid an action, you instantly make it the absolute most desirable option in the room. So let's compare a direct request to an ego challenge. If you go up to a friend and say, hey, can you do this difficult task for me? They're probably going to hesitate, make up an excuse, or avoid it entirely. But if you use the reverse trap and instead say, you know what, never mind about that task. I actually don't think you're capable of doing it anyway. Well, everything changes. You've totally bypassed their logic and hit them right in the ego. They will instantly want to prove you wrong by completing the task. You didn't force them, you just weaponized their own pride. Which brings us to trick number 4. Power is not in forcing people. It's in framing their choice. People absolutely love to believe they're making entirely free decisions. But the reality observed in our source is that people rarely make completely unbounded choices. They simply select from the carefully curated options placed right in front of them. The person who designs the options wins the game. Think about the sheer difference between a direct ask and a framed choice. And this brilliantly illustrates the point. If you ask a friend, do you want to go out to eat? You are giving them the option to say no. You've left the door wide open for rejection. But if you ask Pizza Hut or Domino's, you have literally removed no from the equation. You've given them 2 options, sure, but both options lead to your exact desired result, going out to eat. They feel empowered because they got to choose the pizza, but you totally controlled the destination. This concept is defined as controlled freedom. You are providing carefully designed options that keep the target's ego totally safe. It gives them the illusion of control while totally guaranteeing your desired outcome. And look, this isn't just for picking restaurants. Major politicians, massive corporate brands, and clever marketers use this constantly. Think about buy one, get one free. You feel like you completely outsmarted the store and made this savvy choice. But the marketer just got you to buy a product you didn't even walk into the store for. They maintain total control, all while you feel like the winner. Section 3. Guilt and emotional hijack. We're shifting deeper into the playbook now, moving from the everyday mechanics of choices into the really heavy, profound mechanics of deep emotional manipulation. Trick number 3 is known as the guilty trap, or operating as an emotional mirror. The source notes that guilt is a remarkably powerful emotion. It's a force that makes people yield, apologize, and entirely change their behavior without you ever having to raise your voice or use a single ounce of aggression. Let's say you have a friend who keeps avoiding you. Your first instinct might be a loud accusation. You never make time for me! But that immediately makes them defensive, right? They're going to push back. But look at the guilt trap approach instead. You calmly state, I understand. If I were important, maybe you'd make time. By saying this, you are holding up an emotional mirror. You don't attack them. You just let them see the damage they've caused. and suddenly they self-correct. They feel the guilt, they reach out, and they apologize. The heavy lifting is done entirely by their own conscience. Which leads us to trick number 2, the emotional hijack. Human beings love to believe we are these deeply logical, rational creatures. But what's so fascinating here is that we overwhelmingly make our decisions based on emotion in the heat of the moment, rather than actual reality or logic. An emotional hijack is essentially taking the mind's remote control. You override someone's rational thinking by flooding them with intense feelings of shock, guilt, love, or fear. The primary targets for an emotional hijacker are fear, anger, and pride. To be completely impartial here, let's just observe how this is utilized on a massive scale, such as in political campaigns across the entire spectrum. Politicians rarely use precious stage time to deliver dry, logical facts. Instead, they structure their speeches to spark these specific, intense emotions. They trigger fear of the future, anger at an opponent, or deep pride in a shared identity. By doing so, they hijack the listener's emotional state, totally bypassing logic and securing a favorable vote based entirely on feeling. It really all comes down to this. People remember how you made them feel, not the logic you gave them. An emotional hijack leads to split-second decisions that people often reflect on and regret later when their logic finally returns. But honestly, by the time their rational brain turns back on, the decision is made, the vote is cast, the product is bought, the game is already over. Section 4, the real power of silence. Now, I want you to really slow down with me here because we have reached the final and most chilling technique outlined in the source. Trick number 1, the real raw power of silence. The source provides a highly relatable example to illustrate this. Think back to childhood. A mother's loud, shouting scolding is certainly unpleasant, for sure, but it's a known variable. You know exactly why she's mad. But a father's freezing, dead silent stare, that is far more terrifying. Loud anger gives you something to react to. Silence gives you absolutely nothing. So the crucial point is that silence breeds overthinking and anxiety. When you remain completely quiet, the other person's brain genuinely panics. Nature hates a vacuum, and the human mind absolutely hates silence in a tense situation. Their brain will aggressively try to fill that void with 1,000 anxious thoughts, doubts, and fears. Let's look at a tense, incredibly actionable sequence for extracting the truth from someone using this method. Step 1, you look them in the eye and calmly say, "I know everything." Step 2, you remain completely silent. You just let the pause hang in the air. You let the discomfort build. Let's try it right now. I know everything. Do you feel that tension? In that silence, their mind races. They wonder what exactly you know. Their guilt builds under the sheer pressure of the quiet, until eventually they confess, simply to break the unbearable silence. What's really fascinating is how this applies to winning an argument. People tend to think the loudest person in the room is the strongest one. The source argues the exact opposite. If you're in a heated debate, try executing these steps. Lock eyes, smile slightly, stay silent. By simply observing them with a slight smile, you make your opponent doubt their own words. They will start over-explaining, stumbling, and weakening their own points. True power belongs to the one who observes in silence, not the one who shouts. Section 5. Are you ready? We have reached the climax of this playbook. You've seen the hidden mechanics of the reverse trap, framed choices, emotional hijacks, and the absolute devastating power of silence. The question now is how you observe these psychological realities out in the real world. The source material actually concludes by offering a 7-day challenge to its viewers. It's pitched as an actionable roadmap, a way to consciously recognize and even utilize these tricks over the course of a week to build a new, more observant, and frankly powerful version of yourself. It challenges you to step out of the dark and into awareness. I'm going to leave you with this final, provocative thought to ponder as we conclude our deep dive today. Knowing what you know now about how choices are framed, how emotions are manipulated, and how silence is wielded as a weapon, will you control the game or let the game control you?